Are you leaving money on the table? Are you a veteran or active duty military personnel and you're looking to make your dreams of home ownership a reality? Well, come on in here. I got a little something to tell you. Today, we're talking about the Beyonce of home loans. The Beyonce of home loans, you know, VA home loans. Because, baby, they're flawless. No mortgage insurance. Check. No or minimum down payment requirement. Check. Flexible debt requirements. Check and check. Catching my drift? You see why they're flawless? If you're new here, welcome to my channel, Homegirl's Guide to Real Estate. I am your host and military real estate advocate, Taneeka Henderson. I help people realize their full potential and reach their goals in real estate. Here on this channel, I break down real estate like only your homegirl could. I mean, here we're family, and this is simply kitchen table talk. So don't be afraid to ask questions or share your experiences in the comments. We're a community. And if you like this type of vibe, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And now that we got that out of the way, let's get to the tea. So why do I think that VA loans are the GOAT or flawless, as I mentioned earlier? VA loans are literally the most lenient loan type out there. If you have student loans, no problem. It's the only loan product that you could have student loans deferred for 12 months, and in some cases even longer. That's a game changer. And that debt not be included in your calculations for your debt to income requirements. VA loans also require no mortgage insurance. And if you have all your ducks in a row, you can close that bad boy in less than 21 days. Now here's the why. The VA loan is designed to give veterans and active duty military members more buying power by reducing the financial burdens and barriers that typically can stand in the way of their home ownership goals. So for instance, unlike conventional and FHA loans that require some percentage for a down payment, FHA being 3.5%, conventional loans granting somewhere between 5 and 20%. But the VA loans require no down payment. And this is key because that removes one of the number one financial barriers to home ownership, the saving for a down payment. Another thing to point out around the down payment requirement is that VA loans also do not require a mortgage insurance be attached to it, regardless of what the down payment was. So typically, in a conventional or FHA loan, as I mentioned before, you're required to put a certain percentage down for the home. And when that percentage that you put down is anything less than 20%, the mortgage company is going to want you to carry mortgage insurance for that difference in value. So as I explained just earlier about the different down payment requirements for the other loan types, with the VA loan, not requiring a mortgage insurance premium is key because typically what you would see in those other two loan types, conventional and FHA, is that anything that you have put down less than 20%, they're going to want you to carry mortgage insurance, which is kind of like some insurance to insure and back the loan. But because this loan is backed by the government, they remove that requirement, and that increases your buying power. Why? Because that eliminates a couple $100 a month to a monthly mortgage payment for mortgage insurance. And without having that, that increases your buying power. See what I'm saying? It's flawless, honey. Another good thing about the debt flexible requirements for VA loans is the ability to use the residual income calculation versus the debt to income ratio. And this can really be pivotal because what it does is it allows you to take whatever your monthly income is, minus your monthly obligations. Take that amount, and there is a table that, based on whatever the region is, it says what the monthly living allowance should be, and you subtract that amount. So let's say you have a monthly income of $5,000 and you are looking at $2,000 monthly obligations. So now that leaves you with $3,000 remaining after your obligations. And let's say for the residual income table, it says in that area, because now you have $3,000 remaining, right? $5,000 from $2,000 is $3,000. And in that area, they say the residual income or the living allowance would be something like $2,000. Well, now it's saying that you have $1,000 left over that you can still, and that is another way to qualify you without using the debt to income. But keep in mind that if you do go the residual income route, that it does require a manual underwriting. So just keep that in mind, that should you go that route, understand that it does require a manual underwriting, and you want to make sure you have that conversation with your lender and make sure you choose the best option that works best for you and your situation. Got it? Another benefit I don't hear a lot of people talk about with VA loans is the ability for sellers to concede up to 4%. So what do I mean when I say sellers can concede? Seller concessions are money or credits that you can use to do a number of things. Because what's great about that is it allows sellers to concede up to 4% of the home's purchase price, and it can be used towards closing costs, buying down the rate, and even paying off debt. So if there is certain debt that is being included in that debt to income ratio, you could actually take concessions from the seller and use those monies to pay off that debt at closing and help you with your qualification. See what I'm saying? Flawless. So on top of all of that, VA loans typically also have a lower interest rate than either conventional and or FHA loans. So coupling all of these benefits and removing all of these financial barriers, this really makes VA loans like top tier. Like I said, flawless. Now let's talk about some of the things that people don't necessarily stress or talk a lot about when they're talking about VA loans. And I want to make sure that you're educated on and that you have the knowledge and information to be able to ask the right questions and have the right type of conversations and make plans, according to this information that I'm sharing with you today. Now, here's the stuff they don't put in the pamphlets. And while VA loans can be a game changer and really help you to achieve your goals of home buying, there are some things that you want to be made aware of so that you are equipped with the tools and knowledge to ask the right questions and have the right conversations when the time comes. For instance, did you know that the non-military spouse, if they are on the VA loan, that they are exempt from the 0 down payment rule? And what that means is your spouse or anyone that you have on the loan, any co-applicant that you have on the loan with you, if they are not active military or veterans using an entitlement, they will be required to give 12.5% down because they do not qualify for the entitlement or the benefit of the VA loan. So that's something to keep in mind when you're making plans about qualifying for the loan. However, there are instances where the non-qualifying spouse, if their income is not being used to qualify for the loan, that they can still use that income to mitigate the debt, and their income can be used for the purposes of debt to income ratio calculations. So that is something to keep in mind, and a good question that you want to ask your lender about what is the best scenario for you. The other thing that a lot of people don't know and we don't hear a lot of people talk about is the instance where there are two either veterans or active military members who both wish to use their entitlement. So basically, they're going to split the entitlement. These particular situations require a special review by the VA. It is a requirement. And it's important because it does add a little bit more time to your timeline because there's a lot of the underwriting that has to be done first before it can even be uploaded and sent to the VA. And typically, on average, it can take anywhere from about 48 hours minimal to get that report back and get that approval back. So if you are looking to split the entitlement, make sure that you have that conversation with your lender. And again, talk about the different scenarios and what makes sense for your particular situation. Another thing that isn't talked about a lot is the fact that VA loans are also assumable. And one thing to be able to know that assumable loans can be an excellent strategy, whether you're buying or selling, just depending on the situation. It can be especially beneficial if you are selling and you don't intend to reuse the entitlement, because if you allow someone to assume your loan, and key fact here, a non-veteran can assume your VA loan. But keep in mind that if you do, allow someone to assume the loan, it doesn't restore your entitlement. So again, it is a key strategy if you are in a situation where you're particularly maybe either selling and you're not going to reuse the VA loan benefit, or maybe you're going to use your spouse's, or whatever the case may be. It is a great tool and strategy, but you do need to know that one, anyone can assume the loan, and two, that if they assume the loan, it does not restore your entitlement. So those are things that you're going to want to keep in mind and keep at the top of mind in those conversations that you're having with your lender. Speaking of a lender, it is highly important that you work with professionals who have a proven track record working with military family and personnel, understanding, the different lingo, the requirements for VA loans. And not just that they say, oh yeah, I've worked with VA loans. You want to ask the question, in the last 12 months, sir, ma'am, in the last 12 months, how many of these loans have you personally processed? Whatever agent you're working with, ma'am, sir, how many VA loans in the last 12 months have you personally worked on? That is key, and that is important, because if they have the experience with working with military families and working these type of loans and deals, they will have experienced many of these things that I'm talking to you about today in this video. And they'll know how to navigate those things and to also help you come up with a very strategic but foolproof plan for your home buying goals. So that is very important to ask. What is their specific experience that they've had, not just overall, not in their office, but personally in the last 12 months? Make sure you ask that question. And if you're not sure of finding a qualified lender, I do have one of my preferred VA lenders in my link that's in the description. Click the link. You can contact my preferred VA lender, or reach out to me and I can connect you with agents and lenders if they are not in the Houston area. If you're somewhere else, I can definitely connect you with many that I have personally vetted in my network to get you going on the process. But that is very important. Okay, so now getting into the last tip of the day. And listen, if you like this type of content, you like the information that I'm sharing here, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I drop information like this every week on Tuesdays. There's always something here for you to learn about real estate. And if you want to see more about VA loans, or if you want to learn more about buying a home as a military family, comment below or reach out to me through one of the methods in the link in the description. Now let's get to the last tip of the day. VA loans are PCS friendly if you plan accordingly and have the right team in place. Again, they are PCS. And what do I mean by PCS? permanent change of station. VA loans are PCS friendly if you plan accordingly and have the right team in place. If you have to move because of a permanent change of station, you understand that timing is critical and it is not flexible. When you are working with a lender, ask them specifically, ma'am or sir, in the last 12 months, how many of these loan types have you worked with personally? How many VA loans with a family or military personnel that has a PCS order have you processed in the last 12 months? That is very, very important because in these types of situations, timing is critical. And it's the same question you want to ask to your real estate agent as well. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to make sure that once you arrive, that you and your family have a roof over your head. Oftentimes a PCS can mean relocating from one end of the country to the next, or sometimes even internationally. So having people that know what to do, how to do it, and when to act is highly important. When my son and my daughter-in-law had a PCS and they had to move from the state of Washington across country to the state of Virginia and find a home, buy a home, practically sight unseen, with only being able to see the property via video and FaceTime, having knowledgeable professionals on the case doing the work for the military family and personnel is going to be critical because it is already stressful having to relocate and uproot your life. And then add to that you're looking for a place to live and a roof over the head of you and your family. And you don't want to work with people who are not clear on how this process works, what documents are being required, and when you need to act, and the timeline and how critical it is. You want to make sure that whoever you work with knows what they are doing. Now, on a side note to that, know that VA loans can actually close in as little as 21 days. As long as you have your ducks in a row, you have all your documentation ready to go, you can close the loan in as little as 21 days. The flexibility is there in the loan product to get it done in a short amount of time. It is often the preparation that determines whether or not you'll meet that goal in the time allowed it. Make sure that your housing plans, you have a clear strategy. Make sure that you have your certificate of eligibility or COE ready and available to go, proving your entitlement. Set a contingency plan for if things happen to fail or there is a delay in the timeline so that you have some type of measure for temporary housing needs or storage should there be a time lapse between when the home is actually available and your arrival. Set aside some type of contingency plan for your housing needs. It is extremely stressful for a military service member to have to move ahead of their family and there not be a clear plan on for their housing needs. So again, I can't stress this enough to really be an advocate for your client and to do all that you can to aid them in avoiding any family separation during this time. And my buyers, when you're working with an agent, make sure that you find an agent that is very familiar with the area. I can't tell you how important that is. As I said, my son and daughter, they had to find a place kind of sight unseen, and they really relied on their agent being their eyes and ears to finding that right place that they would call home. So make sure that you have an agent that is very familiar with the area. You'll want an agent who really advocates for you, who will be able to tell you about, what is available in the area as far as amenities, grocery stores, daycares, schools, tell you about the performance of those schools and daycares, be able to tell you about commuting in the area, the distance to the base and, things of that nature. Those type of things that'll be really important to you. Even helping you find support groups or Facebook groups for families that have relocated, especially military families, getting you in connection and in community with other people that are just like you. Because one thing that I know from being a military mom is that veterans and military personnel is that they are very independent and they often don't ask for a lot of help. So as an agent, it is going to be very important for you to advocate for them and think ahead for them and provide them extra tips and tools that'll help them ease into this new location as best and easy as possible. Now, although buying a home through the PCS process can be stressful, you can easily win by asking questions early, having all of your documentation easily accessible and ready to go at a moment's notice, communicating constantly with your team being your real estate agent and your lender, and starting the process as soon as possible. The earlier you start, the more organized you are, the better prepared you are, the less obstacles you'll face in this process. And as always, work with professionals that have experience working with and serving military families and personnel. Well, that's all that I have for today. I know that navigating VA loans isn't easy, but it's so worth it. And that's why you have me, your homegirl. I know how to make the process smooth, stress-free, and more fulfilling. Military members and their family have enough on their plate. Don't let housing be another stressor. Let me handle all the hard stuff so you can focus on what really matters. No matter where you're moving, I have resources all over to make it happen. Contact me by any method in my link in the description, and let's turn your dreams into a reality. Well, that's it for today, family. Until next time, make sure that you like and share this video with anyone who is considering using a VA loan, and be sure to subscribe to my channel where you can get more content like this regularly every week to help you be equipped with the knowledge and information necessary to win in this game of real estate. I am your homegirl, Taneeka Henderson, and I'll see you in the next video.